Hello everyone, it is your boy, Itsuchi2, and today's crazy hair day, so I apologize in advance. But I wanted to hop online for a little bit and go ahead and finish up the variables. Sorry for the delay in the video. Been working on y'all's surprise thing, so hopefully we'll have that ready for you in the next couple of days. I'll go ahead and just wanted to again talk a little bit more about the coding. It's not the most popular topic to talk about, but there is some good stuff in here, I promise. Once we get past variables, there is a whole lot in here. Just to give you perspective, all of these tabs expand for more code. Right now, for just again, we're just on the basic movement. Let me zoom this in so you guys can see better. Is that where? Yeah, I think that's where I was last time. So yeah, I'm at over 4,000 lines of code. 4,300 is where I am, almost 4,400 currently. For just basic moveset, again, this has nothing to do with character-specific moves, no movesets, nothing like that. To glimpse at Naruto's specific stuff, excluding basic movement, is almost at 5,000 lines of code, and his moveset's still not done. No specials. I still gotta add in like 2 or 3 more moves to finish off his base combo, and this is not including his transformations. That's just for his base moveset, as I am so far. Almost 5,000 lines of code there. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Obviously, we're not going to talk about each line. That's crazy. But there is some really good stuff here that I think you guys would love to hear about and see. But you kind of need to have a working knowledge of these variables to understand how all that factors in, because they all utilize this set of data. So anyway, I can zoom in a little bit further so you can see better. Okay. So last time we talked about this block here, and I went more in depth because these are very important variables. I won't spend as much time on these because there is a lot of them, or there are a lot of them. But I'll also group these and go over them in groups. So the first group is strings. I'm not sure if you guys remember last time. A string variable is simply just a variable that contains any kind of text. So I have text variables that contain the combo string. That's determining what move we're doing at the current moment. The temp combo string, that's just a fail-safe in case you're checking for the combo string multiple times. It's always checking to see, is the combo we're running, we're checking for the same as the one that we're already running. If they're the same, skip. We already ran that. If they're different, that's so I know that it's a new string that's been inputted. Clone string is the same as combo string, but that's for like shadow clones. If you summon a shadow clone, what is it supposed to be doing? It needs to have its own combo string. What are we doing? So this is kind of telling it what to do in a sense. It's what holds that data. It'll typically just be a string. Like it'll be like 5B, 5BBA, stuff like that is what will be contained in these strings. The attack type, this stuff is kind of like the DNA. So when you do land an attack, this is the DNA. So this stuff determines what kind of attack it was. So the first part of this variable is, or the first variable is your attack type. Whether it's a jab, I just put these values as defaults, but is it a jab? Was it a kick? Are we going high, low? Are we going in the air? This controls what kind of attack was just hit. The damage given is self-explanatory. How much damage was given from that attack. Chakra drained will be for like Byakugan users who are using Gentle Fist to drain chakra, or characters that use Samehara to drain chakra, or anything that drains chakra. Obviously this will be default at 0. We should be gaining chakra, but if it is a draining chakra situation, then clearly that's how we know. Is the attack blockable? So most attacks are going to be blockable, but obviously ultimate jutsu are not blockable, and paper bombs, things like that, are not blockable. Guard break, does the attack break the guard instantly? Not many attacks will be guard breaking, but an example of that will be like Zabuza's second tier of his sword. If you hold it for just a second and charge that second tier, that's an instant guard break attack. Sasuke's Chidori punch when he's in second state, that is a guard breaking attack. Things like that will be guard breaking attacks. And then the hit string, all it does is these are the individual variables. The hit string will just combine all these into one variable. so I can easily pass all of this information along between the two characters without much, having to pass. Instead of passing on 5 variables, I store all of those individual variables in one, and then I'll break them apart later. That'll be covered in the future video. But that's all the hit string is. It just combines all these variables together into one string. I send that over, and then whoever's receiving the data will then, divide it back out and get the information out there that they need. Don't worry about these. These are just for doing things like figuring out how to, when you're holding a kunai, rather than have a kunai that's already it's weird how the old games did. If you used a kunai attack, they had a kunai just always there, just invisible, and they just turn it visible. I think that's redundant, so I actually spawn a real kunai into your hand when needed, so you can spawn any ninja weapon, because I want more ninja weapons to be used. So rather than try to add in a bunch of ninja weapons already pre-built onto their hands that are invisible, I wrote code that actually will just spawn it in which hand. Is it in their left hand, their right hand? Which way is it facing up? Is it facing down? That, and the direction when you throw it. If you throw it, what direction is it going to go? That's what these variables are for. So something the original Clash Ninja games did not do, I will be doing. Just to make it easier. So that's it for my string variables. The next set are going to be my Boolean values, or bools. These are true-false values again, so you don't have to, some of these may not show true-false. That means they'll just be assigned later. Some of them I just default. If I already know what the default is, I'll just put the default up here, but they'll always be changing later on. So there are a lot of these. These are kind of the logic for the game. These control everything, what you're allowed to do and what you're currently doing. So, for example, can I move? Can I walk? Can I fight? Can I jump? Can I double jump? These are all those questions that the game needs to be tracking at any given time. Can I roll? Things of that nature. Can I do a wake-up attack? Those kinds of things. That's what the can variables are for. So, depending on what the character is doing, can I do X, Y, Z? That's what those variables are for. And then, of course, once I do those actions, am I currently doing that? Am I walking? Am I jumping? Am I double jumping? Am I dashing? Am I evading? So that's kind of what all of these are for. There's a few others in there too, like is grounded, so tracking, am I on the ground? If not, I need to be falling. Am I on the left side? Am I on the right side? Am I facing backwards? All of these are trying to track and figure out what's going on with the player, so we know what options are available to you to use. Am I airborne? Currently. High bounce, medium bounce, and low bounce, that's if you're, you get thrown onto the ground. High bounce attacks are the ones that send you back up in the air to, get comboed back in. The medium bounce is normal. Typically the medium bounce is just a small bounce, and then the final bounce is just, the low bounce is just for visuals, help smooth out the landing transition when you're landing from an attack. Don't worry about these. These are a lot of part of just combos, so I won't go over all of those, but most of these are going into combos. So can strong means when I'm adding in a new combo string, can I add a strong attack to this? Can I add a weak attack to this? So these are those paths. Can I add a special? Or can I do special? Can I, can is can cancel. So can I do a combo cancel? Cancel is did I cancel? Things like that. Can I combo? Invulnerable, so am I invincible or not? Should I be, checking my hurt boxes or not? Super armor. If you have super armor, obviously it's going to ignore block stun. It'll still take the damage, but it'll ignore block stun if super armor is true. Certain block stun. Hit landed. Did the hit go through? Things like that. Don't worry about these trig calls. This is dealing with the collision. That will probably be a video of itself. The collision, guys. Oh my god, the collision. Holy shit. That'll be a video of its own. I'm a bloody genius figuring out this, and these variables are so important. Without those two variables right here, the whole game breaks. Whole system breaks. But anyway, strong charge, weak charge, special charge. So like if you're charging the A attack, if you're charging a B attack, if you're charging a special attack, that's what those variables are tracking. Excuse me, guys. But yeah, these are your booleans. Throw fail, where you thrown. Hit guarded means if you throw it, if you're doing like a back beam that has protected frames, that's what that's for, kind of your protection. So those are my boolean values, and I add to this as I program more and more into the game. These variables will always be added on and on. So this isn't even the final version. Last kind of set we'll talk about here. Let's see how much time I have. Okay, I have like 2 minutes. Last set here is going to be our float variables. Again, these are just precise numbers. They can be whole numbers, they can be fractions of a number. The first number here is, like power. Since I don't do health, I do the power system in my game. So instead of having a health variable, there's a power variable. This will typically range between 250 and 350. It's kind of like up here, max power is the specific maximum health that the player has. The power variable is the actual current live power. So this is the number that changes. So you obviously will start at 0, and the goal is to work up to your max power to their max power. Yeah. This tracks your power currently. Same thing with chakra. This tracks how much chakra you have at any given moment, and your overdrive bar. You typically start with your power at 0, you start with chakra at 50%, and you start with overdrive at 25%, so I just automatically put those in there. There's your block, so block is a number, but that number changes, so I didn't put it at default in here. That'll be based off the max block. That was up here. Jump, how high the standard jump is. That doesn't really need to be a variable, it just needs to be a fixed number, but if I ever need to tweak it, I decided to just make it a variable in case I need to tweak it later. Just put frames per second, offsets, things like that. Don't worry too much about these. All of these are just basically placeholders for stuff that I use later, so I won't need to talk about it now because it's irrelevant talking about it now. But I will talk about these later. The tier and the max tier, those are just talking about if you're charging like an A attack, how many tiers can you charge, things like that, what tier you currently charge to. The dist variables, these are for distance, obviously your combo hit, how many combos you're doing. Distance L is distance from the left side of the screen, distance is your distance between the two players, distance R is your distance from the right side of the screen. You need to know which side of the screen you're on so you know which way the characters are facing and things like that. So distance C is your distance between you and the camera. The Y difference, that's tracking basically, I believe I use this to track the height difference between the two characters. So like if a character's on the ground and a character's jumping, it's that kind of like middle value. If they're both jumping, then it's that middle value moves. So it's kind of tracking that. I forget why I need that, but that's what that tracks. Speed, now all these other variables are for like ninja tools typically. When you throw a kunai, how fast you want the kunai to be, the direction, X, the direction Y, so your horizontal and lateral, vertical and horizontal movement. Height is where they'll, kind of like their start point. Distance is how far they'll spawn away from your character. So height technically is another version of the Y. This is the direction that they're going, X and Y, and this would be the actual positioning X and Y from where they start for weapons and things like that when you like throw a kunai. Don't worry about cold radius, another thing with collision. Timer, that's the actual timer. There is a timer programmed into the, actually no, sorry, that's under the classic battle. This timer is, it's kind of an in-game timer to track, separate from frame rates. I rarely use it, but it does track certain things like how long you lay on the ground after an attack before you get back up. It tracks those kinds of things. And the hits, those are just tracking basically how many hit points a move can take. So typically a punch will, and things like that, will always have one hit before it expires, but like a fireball jutsu, that's going to have almost infinite hits because it's burning the whole time. Samehada won't have infinite hits, but it may have like 5 hits for a Samehada attack because it has all the spikes on there. So things like that. This hits variable controls how many hits an attack is worth. Most will be worth 1, but some may be worth multiple attacks. And then of course your standard, attack power, chakra recovery variables, and then more just general variables there. But that's it for the float variables. The rest of this stuff, you do not have to worry about this stuff. This is all basically editor stuff. None of this is relevant to actual coding. It's there. It might be referenced later, but it's more just setup stuff. So that's why these are all just kind of looped together as things that you don't really need to know. So that's pretty much it for this video. It's already way too long. Thank you guys for watching. In the next coding video, part 3, we'll be going into the actual code. And I won't talk about everything. I'll just talk about the things that are important that you may be interested in. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.